We are back. RotoGrinders MLB DFS night 9-game slate. I think one more. It's one more than last night's. Last night, we say baseball is highly varied. Anybody can do anything on any given night. And last night, we just played the Dodgers, play the team in Coors Field. You picked the right ones too, I suppose. Rushing, who homers every single time he's in the lineup. And Max Muncy won't stop as well. And then Dylan Cease, that was super obvious. But hey, it's a new slate. We're back to zero. It's not always that predictable. It's not always that easy. We are back in Coors. It's the Padres. The Padres now in Coors, replacing the Dodgers. Biggest total on the board, 11 total as far as the game. Dollander coming in as far as the long man for Colorado, Randy Vasquez, and the other side. We have some really good pitching to talk about. No Brandon Lau, by the way. Lineups just came up for Pittsburgh. No Brandon Lau, which is kind of strange. Freddie Freeman is back for LA. It is not just Tuesday, but a television Tuesday. We'll give away another week free of RG Premium. We'll drop that first clue here momentarily. We have two returning champions. They're running it back. Chop and Cheese. Cheese, happy Tuesday. How are things?
Yeah, things are good. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, I just saw, before the show, Brandon Lau not in the lineup. It turns out the Pirates are with me on just really so desperately wanting Kumar Rocker to be good. They're like, we want this guy to happen. We're going to give him a shot. Still probably not enough, but at least we're on the same page with that.
Yeah, I had to swap out. I did make a lineup with Lau. That's kind of a bummer because that seemed like one of the best, hitter-pitcher matchups on the night. And that's that just went bye-bye. All right. Dave, anything big picture as far as a slate you want to say before we dive in? Any thoughts? Anything you did not share in the musings of your, 5,000, 10,000? How many words do you pump out a day?
41,000 words every 30 minutes, feels like sometimes. No, basically my thoughts are pretty similar, almost entirely just on those top 5 pitchers, mixed and matched in various ways, throwing in a little, we'll talk more about the pitchers, throwing in a little Castillo on FanDuel, a little Merrill Kelly on DraftKings, maybe something cheap, but mostly 5 good pitchers, and that's just who I'm playing. I am underweight on the Padres and Rockies, although not fading by any means, especially on FanDuel where there's so many amazing players for between 2,800 and 3,100. It's just kind of silly. It's too easy. But I am under on the Padres, and the same idea of I'm pretty well spread out, even though there's nothing I just love. There are 4 or 5 teams that I like similarly to the Padres. And I also have quite a few non-stacked lineups. If you're not playing the couple top guys, you can kind of get whatever you want, even with good pitching.
I was going to ask that, Dave, because I was making some FanDuel lineups before the show, and I'm finding myself, I know Blender yelling in my ear if I'm not stacking, I'm doing it wrong, but you could just find, like you said, Vinny P is 2.6, Marte is 3K, Witt is 3K, Sheets is 3.1, J-Rod's 2.8, Kurtz is 3.1. The good Max Muncy, who won't stop homering, is, I know he's not in Coors anymore, he's 3K or 2.9. Pete Alonso is less than 3K. I'm just finding myself I'm just gonna get 8 good hitters. I'm breaking all the rules and I'm not necessarily stacking in FanDuel. Is that allowed? Is it okay? Is that something you've considered?
Yeah, those are not actually rules that anyone who wants to win every day follows on FanDuel with the pricing. So yeah, of course that's allowed.
Yeah, it's pretty silly over there. You can do, like you said, basically whatever you want. There are some players that are especially pricey. There is some salary cap restrictions if you want to get to the Padres. Chop, happy Tuesday. How are things? Are you doing the same thing? I know, Chop, you're always an advocate of just playing good hitters, just play good plays. Are you running you doing a 150 on FanDuel and just kind of give me a bunch of good dudes and not necessarily forcing lineup iterations? How are you handling that today?
You think I'm doing 150, Dean, when we're bucked up against the show? You won't even get us out of here until 5 minutes afterwards. No way, Dean. No way, man. I'm doing one lineup.
Wait, get on me.
I'm doing one lineup, and I already kind of put it in. It's a shell, but it's going to probably stick. I don't, unless somebody doesn't make the lineup. But I actually went out of my way to make sure I did stack over there today. Because there will be a lot of shenanigans. And I made sure I didn't have Bobby Witt. I made sure I swapped Bobby Witt out. Was my last swap out to somebody included in a stack that I already had. So You could do hey man, I've been saying that for a long time, is you don't necessarily have to go full on 4x4 stack on FanDuel. They give you these layups a lot. And if you're in the large field, take it. So I'm gonna do the opposite tonight though and stack a little bit more than the field.
Yeah, and FanDuel, we'll talk about it throughout the show. Like Bobby Witt, 3K, probably one of the first players you're playing in cash. But like, you could just pivot to Lindor at 2.9, who's going to be 20% the ownership or something like that. I know producer Steve is going to say, well, why would you want that stiff? The Mets are not even going to score it. So we were talking about pre-show, 11-game losing streak. I think it gets broken tonight. How about that? They are favorites, pretty heavy favorites versus Minnesota. We'll talk about that. That's good enough. I did see a guess in the Discord channel, and I don't think we actually dropped that clue just yet, but D-Rock is calling his shot.
Has anyone ever gotten it before any clues?
I don't think so.
That's when you know there's shenanigans. That's when you know there's some shenanigans here.
There's certainly speculation that shenanigans are abound. Shenanigans are afoot. D-Rock just thinks today's show is that 70 show for some particular reason. It's not. I'll tell you it's not. And we'll give you a clue, too, to work with. One time TJ guessed it was Fleet Thursday, and the clue was retired. And he just goes, what is it, Dan Marino? And he guessed Dan Marino, like on the air. And I had to pretend like it wasn't Dan Marino, but it was. Like, how do you know? There's a lot of athletes that are retired. And he just said, well, it's Dan Marino. Okay. And I don't, the TJ have access to it? No. He just threw a dart and hit it. Swing is the first clue for today's Fleet. No. Now I'm getting confused. Television Tuesday. It is not that 70 show. Get the Discord channel. Get yourself week free of RG Premium. Chop, you have any big picture thoughts as far as the slate before we dive in? We'll throw some teams and some tiers. We'll go position by position. We'll answer the questions from chat. We'll take you up the first pitch. Your general approach tonight. I know Dave talked about it. There's like 5 good pitchers. You can sort of sort through them. We'll sort through them in a second. They're not that hard to get, to go double barrel. If you want to get all the bats, I guess you get Luis Castillo on FanDuel, although I think the Athletics are actually a pretty good lineup too. Especially the lefties for the Athletics that are very cheap. Kurtz, we talked about one of them. A good way to attack. General thoughts, Chop, before we dive in and talk about some pitchers.
Yeah, no real general thoughts. You know how it is. Just a slate. You just play it. Play what's in front of you, Dean. No big deal.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. My screen just went blank there for a second. That was weird. Okay.
Seven mute count already.
Well, I was also trying to figure out what happened on my end, but yes, that is an official mute. What is the over-under for the season? Do we have an actual number? Hasn't we done the math? How many shows? What the over-under per show is? Maybe half a mute. I'm not sure what the sharp money is, depending on the day, but maybe we can get a line on that. Some sharp bettors in the chat, just for amusement purposes only. Of course, don't actually really. People would speculate shenanigans. Dean, we need 7 more mutes. You got to get us home. All right. Let's talk about it. Dave, pitchers. We talked about those 5 pitchers. Who are those five pitchers?
So those 5 pitchers are Yamamoto. He's my first choice in cash. Nolan McLean, the Mets. Any Mets player has to be up there, obviously. But Nolan McLean, Imanaga, facing Jesus Luzardo, both of those guys, and then Chris Bubich. You can easily build a case for any one of them to have the highest upside and or the highest floor and or the safest. Like it's really not that hard to like dig in and find the one thing that makes you go, oh, that's the guy. And I think ownership is going to somewhat echo that. I do think Luzardo is probably the closest thing to sneaky out of that group, but still, like, I still think they all end up like 15 to 30% owned. Like, I don't think you're going to gain some huge advantage on any of them. So you play who you like. I was kind of surprised. Usually I can kind of guess what projections are going to show. But I did think Yamamoto would be at the top of the projections, and I didn't think projection would be quite so buying into Imanaga yet. But both RG projections and the bat really like Imanaga. up top, which is fine. I mean, he has been great. And in that game, so that's where Luzardo and Imanaga are in that same game. It's like sort of good hitting weather, but it's not like some mammoth 25-mile-an-hour winds blowing out in 80 degrees in Wrigley. So I'm not really downgrading those guys, but it is a little bit more of a downgrade for Imanaga than anyone. Like, he is the most fly ball, like home run to fly ball dependent pitcher among the aces that you can get. So to me, that's just enough for me to like Yamamoto ahead of him as a cash game guy. And then I think the two kind of super wild cards are Bubic and Luzardo. Luzardo's been like hit like crazy. The guy has an ERA that would make you wish I was a major league pitcher. I could probably get like a 7.49 ERA. I don't see anything at all wrong with his stuff. In fact, his stuff looks better than ever. Like, you never know. Like, maybe there's like, I haven't watched every game. Maybe there's something going on where when he gets in a bad spot, he can't figure out what to do and he's scared. He throws it down the middle. I don't know. But the stuff looks better than ever. And I still think he's actually the best pitcher on this slate. I'm not saying necessarily like tonight he's the guy. I'm saying just raw skill set out of these five guys. I do think Luzardo is long-term the best of them. So him being what I think is probably the lowest owned makes me like him in large field tournaments. So Chris Bubic, man, he's got 4 starts. 2 of them, he's been like superstar ace, one of the best starts of the year a couple weeks ago, and then came out and then couldn't throw a strike last time. But the Orioles against lefties are not much of a thing. Like, this is a team you can attack with lefties. Even the guys who are good, like Alonso and Ward, are high strikeout bats. And then there's a lot of strikeouts throughout this lineup. I think he's the most who knows what happens. I would put him and Luzardo both in the who knows what happens. But I think they do have the upside that I just prefer. So that my highest owned guys are Bubic and Luzardo, with Yamamoto being the guy I would start with in cash on both sites. I'm skipping everything in like these upper mid-tier past those guys and just looking for something cheap, which is where we have to discuss Luis Castillo on FanDuel. I think he's totally off the board on DraftKings. Certainly, I mean, if you do 150, you play whatever you want, but I don't think he belongs in that group. But 7,500 on FanDuel, he is still generally good-ish at home. He's not a very good pitcher overall anymore, but at home, he's still an okay guy. He's very good against righties at home, and like, he could give up a couple home runs. You know, if Kurtz and Soderstrom each hit a home run at $7,500, that doesn't really kill him. I think we're still waiting for that lineup, and it should be, you know, half and half. I don't know whether it be 4 lefties or 5, but I think he's the only cheap FanDuel guy that I think is even worth playing. But like we talked about at the beginning, you just don't really need it. You can play one of these 10K guys and still have essentially a Padres stack with 4 Hall of Famers. So that's mostly what I'm doing. DraftKings made it much harder to stack the Padres, or even some other teams. Like, if you want to get just a couple of high-end bats. Another guy that I think is total guesswork, who knows, is Merrill Kelly. Like, he's only made 1 start and it did not look good, but I didn't see anything like, you know, his velocity was normal. We're not going to know until we see him pitch more if he's totally fine and the same guy as last year, or if he's a year older and going to start falling off a cliff. Like, it's anyone's random guess at this point. If you take him on last year's numbers, I think he's the best cheap guy there, and he is the one that I'm using. But I have very little of him or anyone cheaper. I would rather punt 1 or 2 hitting spots and just get the good pitchers.
Couple things I want to add, Dave. When you were doing, I assume you look ahead. I assume you look ahead the night before, and I do the same thing. And of course, you have a big undertaking as far as writing the musings. I saw the weather in Philadelphia and Chicago, and I thought we get a bigger number as far as the total. Now, I know the pitchers are good, and it's held. Weather Edge is telling us big sample, 125 games, 43% boost in homers, 69 the temp. Yeah, it's not exactly hot, but wind is blowing out. 9 miles per hour dead center, and 19% boost in runs. I did think that was interesting. I was a little bit surprised, but again,
let me say this with knowing that I don't know anything about anything. So we'll just get that out of the way. What I think is happening is at the beginning of the game, I think like right at the beginning and like now, I think the wind is a little stronger. But I think for most of the game, we're talking 7-8 mile an hour wind, which is barely a thing. Okay. And I think Weather Edge is probably looking at that early, like a 12 mile an hour wind right at first pitch, but that's really not what it is. I'm not sure that that's the case, but that's how I'm taking it for my own lineups, that it's really more of just a very slight hitter's bump for the majority of the game.
That's good to know if that is true, but I don't know that.
I'm not stating that is true. I'm stating that for my personal lineups, that's how I'm playing it, and that's why I'm good with Luzardo and Imanaga.
On Luzardo, the wild thing with him is he's like got the worst ERA in baseball amongst like starting pitchers, 7.94. On this slate, he's got the second lowest SIERA, a 2.45 SIERA. He's got a 1.93 xFIP, right? He's got a massive ground ball rate. The K is 30%, swinging strike rate over 15%. His BABIP is over 400. His left on base is 41%. So I'm kind of with you, Dave. I think it's just goofy, small sample, just really, really, really unlucky. Because he's not getting hit hard. He's got one of the lower hard hit rates on the slate as well. So that's kind of what I'm chalking it up to, and I think he's going to be fine. And I did want to mention one other thing you were talking about as far as like 5 lefties expected against Castillo is our current projection. We do not have that lineup just yet. But for Bubic against Baltimore, like even Gunner's not good against lefties dating back to last season. Bad ISO, bad WOBA, striking out a lot, not even patient. Collectively, this lineup, 26.4% as far as the Ks versus lefty. Rushman is back. Okay, but not a lot of power there. Pretty good hitter, good eye, doesn't strike out a lot, makes contact. He'll take a walk, but there's a lot of strikeouts. This lineup is loaded up with strikeouts here for Bubic, who kind of been up and down, had some really big games, of course, so far this season. Chop jumping here. Do you have a ranking amongst those 5? Anybody else you want to join the conversation? I'm kind of with Dave where I'm mostly going to ignore everything else. I think I have one Castillo on FanDuel just because you can fully release the hounds essentially. And on DK, I'm just going to stick to those 5. I'm pretty sure, and I guess you can go to Merrill Kelly. I don't trust it, but it does open things up a little bit if necessary. Chop, your assessment for arms. Yeah.
Y'all wrapped it up pretty good. I'm good. Yeah, I like Nolan McLean. I'm locking in McLean. That's my guy. And I'm not turning the page. That's it for me, Dean. I like Nolan McLean. He's the guy I like. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. If you're going to give me a bunch of lineups, I'd find Yamamoto in some and maybe some Imanaga, maybe some of the other guys you talked about. But I'd probably still have McLean well above the field and locked into a lot of lineups. And with one lineup, he's the one guy. So it's Nolan McLean night for me. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, more strike. He's as good of a strikeout pitcher as there is on the slate. It's good pitching weather. The low implied team total tells you what you need to know about the weather. I think the Minnesota offense has overachieved, and we're getting them away from home in City Park, where it's, like I said, really good pitching weather tonight. Should suppress the ball a little bit. He doesn't even give up fly balls anyway, so that's not even a big factor. Everything about him screams that he's the number one option for me, and the price tag. So that's what I'm on.
Just got the Dodgers. No Andy Pajes, no Will Smith. Dalton Rushing gets another start. Alex Call also in there. Officially, I can run off their lineup. Let me see if I can pull that up. Ohtani, Tucker, Freeman. Freeman's back. Teoscar, Muncy, Dalton Rushing, Kim, Call, and Freeland versus Landon Roop. Dodgers, out of course, back to California, but in San Fran, tougher ballpark. They're talking about Rushing is apparently he's played some outfield in the minors. Yeah, I feel like they're going to try to get him into the lineup and tonight while they're sitting Will Smith, but I feel like they're going to try to figure out ways, assuming he stays. Not that he's going to hit a home run every 3 at bats, whatever it is so far this season, and he's a legit prospect. But something to keep an eye on here with LA as far as how they handle him. But yeah, all right. We're done with pitching. That is pitcher's second clue for Television Tuesday. We'll drop it right now. It is score, swing, and score. First 2 clues. I see Chop playing along here in a little side chat. All right, let's talk about today's tier. Speaking of Chop, I don't know. Chop was kind enough. I don't know today's tier category. What is today's category?
It's not fun, Dean. We're not going to have fun today. This is all business. It's a big business week for us. So I'm throwing you some NFL draft prospects, Dean. I'm going to tear them up. I'm going to tear them up for you because this is not a fun Tuesday. This is a business Tuesday. We got like 72 hours until the draft kicks off. NFL does it the right way. Gives you all the first round on a Thursday, next couple rounds on a Friday, wrap it up on a Saturday. So we get to marinate it on it pretty good. So I'm just going to give you some boom or bust draft prospects, 1 through 5, some of my faves and some of my least faves that are projected to go in just the first round, not the whole draft, just first round, which is on Thursday, Dean.
All right. Mel Kiper, Chop, give it to us.
Mel Kiper, he might be washed. So
is Mel Kiper, is he washed?
He might be washed. But I do like Mel Kiper's take on pumpkin pie. He does try to partake in at least one entire pumpkin pie per week. I like that. I'm a big pumpkin pie guy, so I don't mind that at all.
I've never heard that. That's fascinating.
I thought pumpkin pie was a nickname of a player I was not aware of. Like, who's pumpkin pie? Yeah. Is he a linebacker? I have no idea. Tell me more about pumpkin pie. But okay, I guess you have pumpkin pie all year round, not a seasonal thing for you, Chop.
If I find a pumpkin pie in a restaurant, I'll definitely have some pumpkin pie.
Over
year round. Oh no. Like I've said it before, I prefer my desserts neutered, so I'm going to stay away from the pecans and any of that kind of stuff. It's not bad, but I think we could do better than pecan pie.
I don't think you can. Not when it's pumpkin. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the board to come up here so I can rattle off some players for you.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear your takes. I know nothing as far as prospects for NFL. I mean, I'm aware of some of the names, but
these are boom or bust guys. These are boom at the top, potential bust at the bottom. I'm just giving you a few names here, Dean. Maybe you hear these names called for your favorite team on Thursday. I got a feeling Cheese will be sweating it on Thursday with his Browns pick at number 6. And there might be discussion there on some of these guys. Anyway, big boom. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end. This guy is I don't know, man. He's got a lot of Vernon Davis, George Kittle in him. I think he's the next great tight end, and I don't think he's getting appreciated enough. So he's my top guy that's projected to go in the first, but I think he'll go too low. David Bailey, Texas Tech edge rusher, Dean. This guy is all like, I don't know what the phrase is, but he's like not all business, but he's just, there's no like elbow pads and like Dion would dress up and do the whole thing, looking good, feeling good.
No frills.
No frill. David Bailey goes out there with nothing, man. Just cut off sleeves, cut off jersey, and he just overpowers people. David Bailey's a great edge rusher, man. I'm looking forward to whoever grabs him is going to get a good edge. Mekhi Lemons, where I'm starting to get into the middle here. I think this is the best wide receiver in the draft. He's also only 5'11". Potentially just a slot guy. Who knows? So I don't know, man. I don't know. But then again, we're doing things these days where smaller guys are making a comeback in the NFL at wide receiver. So Lemon's kind of right there. But first guys off the board will be probably Jordan Tyson at wide receiver and then Carnell Tate. Lemon might not go till later in the first round, but I think he might be the best one. I think somebody's going to get like a really good player here. But they might get a 5'11" guy who can't find his way in the NFL. So that's why I put him in the middle, Dean. Now we get down into the bust products, Dean. Hakeem Mesidor, University of Miami. They had a great run to the national championship game. They didn't win it.
3 first-rounders expected for Miami.
He's one of them. And I think that run to the title game kind of boosted his draft stock. Unfortunately, Dean, I don't put as much weight into a guy who's dominating college kids when he's 25 years old, and that's Mesidor. So
is that hyperbole, or is he actually 25?
He's 25 years old. Now this is football, so it's a little bit different. It's way different than basketball. You know, obviously basketball, 25, you're not even sniffing the NBA draft. But you know, I put a little bit less stock in that production because of his age and the gap there. So I'm putting him down here. Jermon McCoy, a guy who's projected to go in the first round, was kind of projected for a while to be the cornerback taken off the board more than likely. He hurt himself, Dean, before his senior year at Tennessee. He's still not fully recovered, I don't think. I think he could be the biggest bust in the whole first. You could get a nothing burger out of this guy because of injuries. I don't think he's responded well to the injury. Somebody's going to see the name Jermon McCoy called for their team, and I feel sorry for that team, and I hope it's not Dallas, and I hope it's not the Browns because Mr. Cheese deserves better than that.
I don't want someone at the bottom of the board for sure.
You don't want those guys at the bottom. No way.
Do you not have a take on Mendoza, or you're kind of on the fence?
My take would be something like he's going to be a fine NFL quarterback. I think for a number one pick, you know, you typically at any other position, you want like a lot more upside if you're talking about any other position at number one. But it's a quarterback, so you have to kind of take the best quarterback, you know, especially when you're a team that has no quarterback. I think he'll be a fine pro. He'll be a nice. I think he's safe. I don't know if he's not going to be like a playmaker, get you to the Super Bowl. But if you build around him, I think he's fine. Like, I don't know, man. That's my take. Is I think you got to pull the trigger at number one, but I don't think there's like this massive like let's look at number one or first round quarterbacks who high upside guy would be like when Josh Allen came out. That's high upside. Kyler Murray was number one. That's high upside. He's kind of been a bust a little bit so far. Guys like that with upside, that's fine. Mendoza, I don't think he has that kind of upside, but he's going to be safe. He's going to be solid. He's good accuracy. The things he was doing in college running, he better not do that in the pros because you can't take those kind of hits in the pros from those kind of guys or you'll be injured all the time. But I think he'll be a nice, safe pick.
Dave, do you watch the draft? Do you care about this? Are you excited for your Browns picking 6, or you don't know?
So I mean, basically, I just wait until pick 6 happens, and then I look up the guy and decide how he's the greatest player of all time and why, and act like I've known him my whole life. I don't anymore try to dig into everyone to decide who I think we should take because I know that I don't know. I just wait till it happens and then become all in on him immediately.
Yeah.
Well, what I'd like to see for the Browns, if you're giving me the opportunity here, there's been talk that they're going to trade down from 6, grab some extra picks, trade back. I'd like to see them trade up to number 3. I'd like to see them pair Myles Garrett with David Bailey on the defensive line. I think then you're cooking. You're cooked because you got to use a high pick last year on Mason Graham on the interior. I'd love to see Garrett, Graham, and David Bailey on the same defensive line, and now you're cooking. So, but I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll probably trade back and grab a couple of picks.
I can make that happen. I will send a text immediately.
I pulled up a mock on the fly, and they got Carnell Tate going to Cleveland, so staying in state from Ohio State. According to ESPN, that's the first one that I pulled up. But all right, let's talk about some teams tonight. Throw them into some tiers. First one we're talking about, of course, we're talking about the 7-10 slate. 7-10 slate, not the 6:40, 6:45 games. No Yankees, no Red Sox. I thought they were going to give us that because people like talking about Yankees, Red Sox, but no, not on the main slate for either FanDuel or DK. Chop won the coin toss backstage. Simeon, Woods, Richardson taking on Nolan McLean. We talk about the Mets, how they're scuffling. This is probably one of the weaker hitting environments in the slate as well, but it's going to be in the 40s. Wind is blowing out a bit there to left field for what it's worth, but 7.5 total, barely a 3 total for the Mets. McLean, one of the better pitchers on the board. Royce Lewis is back for Minnesota. That's noteworthy. He's in the 8 hole. That's been his spot basically all season long. Chop, where are we putting the Twins and the Metropolitans?
Well, I definitely like McLean a lot tonight. Minnesota's going in tier 5. I have no desire for Minnesota. The Mets, it's not a bad matchup all around. I don't like the weather here, but I wish it was a little bit better home run hitting weather for them. But I'm gonna put them in tier 3 just because I think the weather suppresses them a little. But I would like the matchup in general, and I do believe in the fact that they're gonna eventually get going. I still think that they're a good team. I think they're a decent team, a lot better than what they've shown. At some point, they'll get back on track. Again, if this was a different environment, I would want to attack that big fly ball rate and a bad bullpen, I think. But the weather's going to hold it down a little bit. So just tier 3 for me for the Mets.
I saw Steve trying to putting his Mets in the bottom tier 5, but they did jump up to tier 3 for Chop. How do we feel about this, Dave? Any issues?
No, I think that's right. The Woods Richardson is one of the most attackable pitchers on the slate. You can't love the Mets, but I do think they belong in the middle. I've got at least a fair amount of Lindor and like Melendez on DK as a punt. It's fine. Like it's fine. The Twins, I didn't get to the Twins. I do think McLean is looked amazing. I mean, you can't argue with him. Every time I look at everything under the surface, it tells me he's not this good. But so far he's been nothing but this good. So my official opinion is he is not this good. And I do think the Twins could score on him. But he's at least very good. You know, whether he's elite or not, he's still very good. And we do have the conditions like this. So I'm fine with the Twins at the bottom just because, and I didn't get to any of them. If I had like 40 lineups, I would probably have a twin stack, but I think we can skip them.
Dave, we got Philadelphia and Chicago. We kind of touched this one already. Two of the better pitchers in the slate, Imanaga versus Luzardo. Luzardo been the unluckiest pitcher in baseball. Imanaga's been absolutely fabulous, just spectacular. Left on left, first their two best hitters, Schwarber and Harper. Yeah, Weather Edge might be a little deceiving, like you said before. We're not exactly sure, but only an 8.5 total, despite the fact that Weather Edge really likes, at least from the start of the game. The wind is blowing out, although it is pretty chilly. Cool. 69. I don't know if chilly is the right word. Yeah, where are we putting these two offenses? I think they're going to be pretty well ignored on this slate. Is that correct, Dave?
I'm ignoring them for full stacks. I do think you can pick out some power bats here. But for just like, as far as full stacking, I have them both in whatever that person's name is, Mesidor, who apparently played for Miami, who apparently was almost was in the national championship game. I from what I have heard, I'm sure that was amazing. Yeah, I think you could pick out a couple homers. I don't know. I don't know that I want a full stack against either of these pitchers, or in fact, I know that I don't. I'll say it that way.
Who will be the homers you pick out? I think Garcia is one of the best dollar for dollar plays. Is he somebody you have your eye on? Who's your favorite?
Adolis Garcia on DK. Felix Reyes is another one of the minimum salary punts that I think is worth playing. And then it would be Seiya Suzuki first on the Cup side.
Very first at bat in his major league career, Reyes took Chris Sale yard. I was looking at a little bit of speed, a little bit of power. He's shown 16 homers last year. I was looking at him before the show. That's why I happen to have that page up right now. 16 homers and 420 at bats last season in the minor leagues. Chop, we have Philadelphia and Chicago both in tier 4. What say you?
It's about where I had them. I had one of them in tier 5, but tier 4 sounds good. I don't have any desire to stack either one of these teams tonight.
I have not begged or groveled for likes. We're not giving away Spidey bombs for likes. I don't know where TJ is. Maybe that's why the likes are down. I don't know. Maybe they didn't like that Chop didn't put their favorite prospect in the right tier. I'm not really sure what the reason is. But, yeah, kindly hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe. Turn on those notifications.
Yeah, respectfully to everybody watching right now. If you're a RotoGrinder sub, appreciate the sub. We appreciate you get some of that good content behind the paywall. And to everybody else, respectfully, you got to at least hit the like button. It's a free show, man. You're getting all the cheese. She's wrote a 5,000-word article today.
More than
grinds it out, man. He grinds it out. I think that was today. Yeah, I looked at it, I think. Maybe, I don't know. He grinds it out. We all grind it out. Get the likes up, man. Come on, guys.
Athletics lineup is out. The only difference is as far as our projected lineup is that looks like Giloff is in there. Clark is out. Or did I flip that? Clark is out. Kurtz, Langoliers, Cortez, Soderstrom, Wilson, McNeil, Muncy, the bad Muncy, Butler, and Giloff. That is your Athletics lineup. What are we still waiting for? White Sox. I think that's it. I mean, it's the only lineup we are waiting for. Otherwise, we got everything in all that. I apologize. I think you confirmed this, Chop. You were good with both teams in Tier 4, yes?
Looks good.
Third clue for Television Tuesday. Third clue. It is belly. Belly is the third clue. Swing, score, and belly. All right. And it looks like we just got 50 likes just like that. Just to there. Hey, I guess every once in a while I get a beg and grovel and just say, look, make a reasonable argument to hit the like button. Chop, the next game up here on the board, we have 7 more to go. It's Baltimore, Kansas City, Chris Bubich, Shane Baz. Pretty good hitting weather here in KC. Bobby Witt, we talked about him being $3K on FanDuel. Vinny P seems really cheap on both DK and FanDuel. We also have a cheap Sal Perez. We talked about Pete Alonso is $2.9 on FanDuel. Some really, really cheap prices here for what looks like one of the better hitting environments on the day. Chop, where are we putting Baltimore and Kansas City?
Yeah, I'm probably going to get a little pushback on this one from you guys, but I know it's seemingly a pretty good hitting environment, but I kind of like these pitchers. I mean, Baz is questionable, obviously, but I think the talent is there. And believe it or not, Baltimore's come out with a really good bullpen this year. I don't know if it's going to hold true. It's a small sample kind of stuff, but they have been able to hold leads and contain offenses when they've come into the game. So you got that going for them. So KC's a tier 3 for me, and Baltimore's a tier 4. There are just other spots that I'm attacking on the slate, even though, like you said, the park is fine. The weather is really good for the park, and they've actually changed the dimensions on that thing and made it a lot more home run friendly. But I'm still going tier 3 and tier 4 for these two teams.
All right. So we have KC in tier 3, Baltimore tier 4. Dave?
I do like KC a little better than that. They would be in my David Bailey. But like Shane Baz is one of these we really don't know. Like he was really good when he came up. And kind of like Chop said, I still fully believe the talent is in there. It's just kind of all over the place. And even the splits are all over the place. He's enough of an unknown that on this slate, it still makes him one of the pitchers I prefer to attack. And it is one of the only spots that's pretty decent hitting weather. And yeah, I like how affordable the team is, obviously on FanDuel, but even on DK outside of Witt, and Garcia is kind of priced up, but I could live without him. So for me, they're a David Bailey. I'm fine with Baltimore down in 4. It's always fine to play like Alonso and Taylor Ward, but I like Bubich tonight.
I am going to agree with Dave. I'm moving Kansas City up to tier 2. David Bailey. Broccoli Boy said today's tiers are Bobby level. I don't know if it's a compliment or not a compliment. So I need more clarity.
That's definitely not a compliment. I'm okay with that. I knew this wasn't going to be entertaining, but I had to get a little football off my chest.
It's a business week. It's business for you.
Yeah, so, you got this pent up NFL draft stuff going on in your head. I got to get it out somewhere, and this will be my last show before the draft.
I don't want to anger you anymore, Chop, but congratulations. You did guess today's Television Tuesday, but like you always tell me, don't tell me if somebody hit it. We had a winner in one. We had a hole in one.
Way.
We got a winner in one in the Discord channel. I do want to shout that person out. That's why I stopped prompting people to go to the Discord. I think it was Big Z. Big Z is really good over there. Took it down, a week free of RG Premium. Apparently 2 people guessed it. One was just faster than the other. So I guess I got to make these a little bit tougher, I suppose. I don't know. We have swing, score, and belly. That is our first 3 clues for Television Tuesday. Chop nailed it. Shout out to you. All right. Next game. It's Pittsburgh and Texas. I presume the roof is closed. I meant to Google this. I did not check it just yet. But McGinsky taking on Kumar Rocker. Rocker really, really vulnerable to lefties. We talked about this top of the show for whatever reason. I don't know if it seems like a weird day off, but Brandon Lau is not in the lineup today for Pittsburgh, which is a significant hole because this would be a perfect matchup for him to exploit. Not two great pitchers, and that Pittsburgh stack, Cruz is still really good, O'Hearn's solid, Reynolds, just it really, really lacks without Lau. Dave, the board is yours. It's the Rangers and the Pirates. What do you got?
Yeah, the Brandon Lau being out certainly affects it, but this is still a team that is just good. We've been talking about it all year. Like, the Pirates are pretty good. And if you've been around any period of time, I desperately want Kumar Rocker to be a thing. And I think he still is. And he was acceptable last time out, but he's really has not shown anything against lefties, which is why it's weird that Lau's not in. But Cruz, O'Hearn, Reynolds, Horwitz is still enough to build a stack around. So I think I'm going to put them in the middle. I could borderline put them up in David Bailey, but I'm going to start with them in the middle and see if you guys want to move them up. Rangers. So this, how did you say his name, Dean?
It's McGinsky.
See, I thought it was Majinski, the soft J, and this is important to me. But I just recently learned it was not Milad Zinski. I feel like we're missing something with when you have an M and an L back to back and you don't use it. So a lot of wasted stuff. I think he's kind of okay, but certainly nothing special. And it's kind of the same with the Rangers. Like, I think they're kind of okay. They don't really have any super weak spots. I think they go in the middle too. Like, it's fine.
It reminds me of Mark Repchinski. Remember they used to call him the Alphabet, or they call him Scrabble. Was that his nickname? Was it the Alphabet or Scrabble?
I remember Scrabble too. I don't know. I just remember how exciting it was when we all figured out how to say his name.
Yes. And then he didn't bother to stick around. I think he's gone. I'm pretty sure he's gone. He's just kind of like the dodge me for a while. So we got Texas in tier 3, and oh boy, did I lose the other team? What's the other team? Did I miss them?
They're both in 3.
Pittsburgh. Okay, yeah. I knew they're right next to each other. I did want to note, by the way, 4 lefties in that Texas bullpen. Just thought that was of note, which was a little bit daunting thinking about Pittsburgh earlier in the day. But yeah, so that's not great for guys like O'Hearn and Cruz. They're not going to get pinch hit for, but it is their left on left. They do struggle a little bit historically. Chop, do we agree? Both teams here in the middle.
Speaking of lefties in the bullpen, Dean.
Oh, here it is.
No, that's a little, not yet, but it's a little tease. It's a little tease.
We were getting excited.
It's a little tease for later on what's coming. I can agree with this. I can agree with that for sure. I had Texas one spot lower, but I'm definitely not enough to argue with.
Okay, so we'll just move on. Chop, you're going to set the stage for the Padres. The Padres taking on the Rockies. This works out perfectly, Chop, because you're knocker blocker. I don't know if you're running it back. You're just the same information, but Dollander expecting to be the long man here for the Rockies and one-time prospects. He's looked really good so far this year. The Rockies are opening with Herget, not a lefty as it was initially anticipated. It's going to be a righty, so they're going to go right and then right again. Vasquez for the Padres, Loreno, Tatis, Merrill, Machado, Bogarts, Freak in the Sheets, Andujar, Fermin, and then Cronenworth in the 9-hole, the lefty, which is interesting. They're throwing him in the 9-hole when he's the lefty, but okay. Chop, how do we feel about the Padres and the Rockies? Padres certainly the most popular. I presume the most popular team on the board. I think they're going to be the most popular team tonight. That seems fair to say.
Yeah, definitely be the most popular team. So I have to say, Dean, that when the initial pitching stuff came out, and I was like, I like the Padres a lot more than I do right now. Man, I really don't want to put them in tier 1, but I almost have to because it's the largest team total on the board by like almost a full run. I mean, it's Coors Field. It's good hitting environment, the best hitting environment on the slate and all that good stuff. I think that the opener leading to what I think is a pretty good long relief guy, then leading to the back end of the bullpen, which can be kind of tough. This is a recipe for San Diego, like being a complete flop and disappointment tonight from a stack standpoint. I'm still going to put them in tier 1 because it is Colorado, but I'm a little worried about the way this sets up, what they have to face tonight. And then again, somebody once told me, very wise man once said, the first game, teams come into Coors Field on that first game, and it's hard for them to hit. They don't hit very well right away.
Did anybody do a study in this? I've heard that before too, and like nobody ever did a study as far as I know.
Yeah, because I don't
That's
know.
what some people say. And they said the first game away from Coors too, which again, I hear it, but I don't know. I've never seen the data.
We'll put them in tier 1, but I have some major questions in it. I'm not running 150 tonight, but if I was, I promise you I would probably be I would be underweight probably on the stack in general, and I'd have a lot of lineups that did not include any Padre at all. It just, I'm not running 150. I'm going smaller field, so I'm going to play some. Vasquez, the numbers have been better this year. I still don't know that he's that good. He used to have his thing against lefties where they could crush him. I still think Colorado's a pretty good lineup in general. They're building something pretty decent out there. I'm gonna put them in tier 2. It's the second highest team total on the board. I think there's a reason for that. So I'm going tier 2 for Colorado.
All right, Dave. Chop's got San Diego in tier 1, Colorado tier 2. Do you want to give the same I'm curious what you're doing at your lineups, because and I know you wrote about it today in the musings. I'm not sure if that's changed or not. And Chop said basically, yeah, they deserve the 1 spot, but I'm not playing them. And I kind of feel the same way. I don't like them a lot. I'm going to be under the field. I'm sure I'm going to play some, but I think they're a really good. I mean, the Dodgers in Coors against whatever, not against Jose Quintana, is much tougher to fade. The Padres are, they're not the Dodgers. Your thoughts, Dave?
Yeah, I'm way under on the Padres. I have almost 0 on DraftKings. Not quite 0. I think I have a stack, but FanDuel I have some just because of the pricing. But Dollander is almost certainly at least a good pitcher against righties, and he might end up being a very good pitcher against righties. I don't think he's anything against lefties yet, but the Padres are mostly righties. So even if you want to play some Merrill and some Freak in the Sheets, which you probably should, that doesn't mean you have to stack. And so, yeah, I'm under. Dollander against righties, it looks real to me. So I'm fine to be under on that. The Rockies, I wish I liked them more. I still think Vasquez is beatable. I don't believe he's just some superstar all of a sudden. We still have the Padres bullpen behind him. And the Rockies, DraftKings finally hit the button to price them up. They missed the button for the first 2 weeks of the season. And the guys like Troy Johnston and Rumfield would be $3K. And then it was great. But now that they're all priced up, it's fine. But I don't have any Rocky stacks. I think you should leave them where they are just because it's Coors Field and they'll score runs. But I'm under quite a bit on both these teams.
Yeah, I was looking at the San Diego bullpen, which we know is elite. They didn't play yesterday, but before that, Miller did pitch 3 out of 4 games in a row, but everybody's rested from yesterday. There are 3 lefties, and there's Miller. And they're probably going to be likely going to be ahead. You don't know this; it's baseball, so you probably get the good stuff from San Diego. I'm kind of with you. I wanted to like Colorado more, and I just don't. But I understand why we're keeping them in the 2 hole. We have 4 more games to go, Dave. Next game up, it is Toronto and the Angels. Jack Kahanowitz against 37-year-old Patrick Corbin. 9.5 total, pretty decent weather, I guess. And it's a little chilly out there in Anaheim. How are we seeing the Blue Jays and the Angels?
So this is one where I still feel the same about when I wrote the article. I love a couple Angels power bats. If we assume that Corbin is the same guy that he was last year and he's only made 2 appearances this year. We haven't seen much. Then he's not actually terrible. People think that he's terrible. He's not terrible. He just gives up home runs to righties. So just get the home runs. Get Joe Adell and Zach Neto, and then maybe Trout and Soler. But I don't think you don't have to play them all together. If it's home runs, they don't really correlate all that much. So this is more mini stacking, picking out home runs. But I like that enough because there's enough of them that I would put them in David Bailey. The Blue Jays are kind of the opposite, where I only like Varsho on his own, although I like Varsho a lot on his own. But I do like the full stack. Like Kachanowicz has had everything go his way this year, but when you walk essentially everyone, both righties and lefties, and just live on BABIP, it can go bad pretty quick. So I actually have the Blue Jays all the way up top.
Varsho down in the 6 hole was weird to me. They didn't even do left, right. They just felt like Varsho's got to hit 6th, but behind Eloy Jimenez. I didn't see where the teams get placed. I think you said somebody up top. Toronto. You want a Toronto up top or no?
Up top.
That's what I thought I heard you say. Okay. Steve, Toronto in the tier 1, and the Angels. I know you like the Angels. Where did you put the Angels?
David Bailey.
Okay, there you go. Chop, we got the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays in tier 1 against Kachanowicz, and then we have the Angels in tier 2. What say you?
You know, my pre-show rankings, I put both these guys in tier 2, David Bailey. So I'm not going to argue with this at all. Don't mind it. I love the first 4 for the Angels, the way they've panned out tonight, the first 4 in the lineup. In Toronto, I love a mix of several different guys throughout the order, so I have no qualms with tier 1. But yeah, I'm down with that.
I would have flipped those, but I don't get to play. If you guys agree, I don't get to play. I'm just the arbiter. I did want to note, Corbin, like Dave says, Corbin not as terrible as you want him to be. If you look at his numbers, like he should be worse. But stolen bases, he's given up 79 stolen bases since 2023. So there's a hidden value there. I was looking at Neto, who stole 60 bases, since 2024. Even Trout can, he can steal bases. You're not necessarily rostering guys to steal bases, but that's a way to make up some points if you happen to get some walks. All right. We just got Chicago. Let's see. Reese McGuire doing the catching and Peters. So no Luis Angel Acuna and Caro's out. So I don't know if people were waiting on that necessarily, but just a couple changes for the White Sox. All the lineups are in. Chop, Athletics, Mariners, Luis Castillo, Jacob Lopez. What say you?
Mariners and Oakland. This is one where this is a tough one for me, Dean, because I had Oakland in tier 4, Castillo. I mean, he's obviously not the same guy he was like several years ago, Cincinnati days, and then right when he came over, he's just not as good anymore. But it's still a big ballpark, and I'm still don't necessarily want to pick on it. So I had him in tier 4. Seattle was the one where I just couldn't quite. I think there's a mental thing when you play DFS and you start dealing with like super friendly pitcher parks. You just don't want to stack in that whole lot. Like it's hard to do that, but it is a good offense and it is a pretty good matchup. It's a high walk guy, high fly ball guy. You walk a lot and then you give up a lot of fly balls. That leads to multiple RBI home runs and things like that. Can end up winning you GPPs. So I'm gonna put Seattle in tier 2, but I definitely. It's tread lightly because I hate stacking in huge ballparks like this.
Good prices too. Like Kyle Rowley 2.9 on FanDuel. J-Rod is 2.8 over there. We mentioned Kurtz 3.1. Soderstrom is 3K. We do have the cheap catcher and Mitch Garver for Seattle. So I don't love this ballpark either, but I do think there's some spots that are worth exploring. We have Seattle here, Dave, in tier 2. The Athletics tier 4. Are we good with that, or shall we scoot along, or any qualms?
That's right where I had them. I do like Seattle. If this game were in the greater West Sacramento metro area, they'd be probably ahead of the Padres. So the ballpark hurts, but not that much. So yeah, I do like them.
White Sox, D-backs, 9 total. Merrikelly versus Sean Berkey, and we just got that Chicago lineup. Corbin Carroll was dinged. I think it was a back. He is back. He's good to go. Marte, Carroll, Perdomo, Del Castillo, Gurriel, Fernandez, Arenado, Vargas, and Thomas. That is your D-backs tonight. Close to a 5 total. I did check. The roof is open in the desert, Dave. Arizona and Chicago. What do you got?
there's a whole bunch of these teams that are like borderline between those top two tiers for me. Like I could have put the Royals or the Angels or even the Mariners up in the top, and I could have put the Blue Jays down one. And the Diamondbacks are right in that same range for me. Like it's like I really like them. I think I'm going to put them up top. I like the way the pricing works out. Because you can get Marte and Carroll even on DraftKings if you go with some of the cheaper stuff. And then on FanDuel with the Marte price, it makes it super easy. Sean Burke is not like horrifyingly bad or anything, but on this slate, he's still one of the weaker pitchers. And he's not great. Like he's just a dude. I just think Arizona is good. The White Sox are a tricky one. I didn't end up playing any White Sox, but like, again, Merrill Kelly's only made one start and it didn't go well. And, you know, he had this like just kind of a random back injury in spring. So who knows when you see that kind of thing? Like there's a chance that there's something wrong with him, or he's just kind of like he should be making his third spring start instead of regular season, or maybe he's a year older and he starts to get worse. My best guess is that he's fine, which makes him a pretty good pitcher. So I would put the White Sox in the middle. But if you wanted to take the chance that Kelly is either declining in general or just simply not ready for the season, I wouldn't argue with you if you like them more.
White Sox smack in the middle, D-backs all the way up top. Chop. You know, Chop, we've heard nothing of knockers. We've heard nothing of knocker blockers. I don't know if we're queuing it up at some point. Is this the game, or do we have one more in layaway? I mean, you always tell me I can always rely on a knocker blocker.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing, Dean, about it. I've always said I do my prep. I do my homework. I come prepared to the show. I don't just pull a Bobby Gomes, whatever that might mean to you. I'm not saying it's a negative thing. I'm not saying that's a negative thing. I'm just saying I don't do that. And the knockers, the BVP suggestion, that's all stuff we get to when we get position by position. I don't know if you're aware of how the show works, but we do that later on. The knocker blocker is definitely something I've dug into this afternoon. Long hours and hours of research. It just hasn't come up yet, Dean.
Okay.
So you just got to sit back and relax, brother. Take it easy.
Talking about the Dave's place.
As far as this game's concerned, when they made the pitching change for San Diego and Colorado, and we're getting the opener and then Dollander, who I think is really good, blah, blah, blah. Arizona became my favorite stack of the day. Not even close. I love this lineup here. You could go all the way to the catcher. Their catcher badge cleanup. And every time I see the guy start, it feels like he hits a home run. So I just like the lineup in general. Love it. Love the matchup tonight. Yeah, I got them in tier 1, no doubt about it. And then Chicago, I can absolutely live with keeping them right there.
Yeah, Del Castillo, pretty good power, 176 ISO versus righties dating back to last season. Good Woba too. His issue is striking out, alarming rate, 32.9%. But, you know, Burke isn't the greatest strikeout pitcher. We do have one more game here, Chop. It's the Dodgers and the Giants, 7.5 total. I did see the fourth clue scrolling if you're still playing along for Television Tuesday. It is couple. I'll give you the last one as well. Celebrities. So swing, score, belly, couple, and celebrities are your 5 clues. Dodgers in a game that's a 7.5 total, in part because Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound taking on the Giants, who barely have a 3 total. Rupa on the other side. The Dodgers do have a 4 total. We mentioned earlier, rushing does get another start. No Andy Pajes for LA today. Dodgers, Giants. Chop, what do you got?
Oh, buddy. This game right here, Dean. First off, I'm putting Frisco in tier 5. I hate the starting pitching matchup. And I also hate the matchup of the guys who are probably going to come in after them out of the bullpen, you know. So even though they lost Edwin Diaz for several months, I don't even know if he'll come back this year. We'll see how that plays out.
Loose bodies.
But the Dodgers still have a pretty competent bullpen behind them. And you said you were mentioning lefties earlier. Yeah, they got multiple lefties they can come out of this thing with a high level. San Francisco's a tier 5. I don't want anything to do with those guys. And you would think that with Diaz being on the shelf, that would be the knocker blocker team. But it's not, Dean. I'm going to San Francisco here against the Dodgers. The Dodgers, by the way, are a tier 4 for me. I don't love the matchup. We're also in this ballpark over here, which should really, it's a big pitcher-friendly ballpark. I'm going in the San Francisco bullpen, though, here. I want to pull out the left-hander. I want to pull out Eric Miller. San Francisco's a unique bullpen. Dean, I don't know if you've kept up with them this year. They've actually got like 4 different guys that can close for them, that they can. I love that's what I've always thought what you do is if you play the matchups, man. If you've got one guy who's like really exceptional and the 8th inning is 2, 3, and 4 coming up to bat, why not bring that guy in the 8th inning and, take out the heart of that lineup with your best pitcher as opposed to the traditional setup. Anyway, they got 4 guys they can do anything with. I'm going Eric Miller, though. He's a guy that I'm highlighting here, left-hander coming out of the bullpen for Frisco. Big-time slider, sinker mashup. It's about a good 10 to 11, 12-mile-an-hour difference on the two. The slider almost acts like a changeup to a really nice sinker, which is, sits at probably about 96 or 97 and hits. I know it's called a sinker, but it actually hits the top of the zone more than anything, and the slider hits the bottom of the zone. So Eric Miller's a pretty nice reliever. I think he's a 3rd year in his league, 3rd year in the major leagues, and a couple of them he's working on 30-plus strikeout % rate. So he might be the real deal.
Dave, the Dodgers broke the slate yesterday. Chop saying we don't need them today. Tier 4, Giants right there, even worse. What say you?
Giants definitely in the bottom. Like I personally can't put the Dodgers lower than the middle against anyone other than like a best pitcher in the league. Roop is good, but I would put the Dodgers in the middle. But I certainly think it's not the night you want to be all in on the Dodgers by any means.
So not only do I agree with you, but even if I didn't, we'd have to move the Dodgers to the middle because then we would have symmetry. Look at that. Let's recap the board. It's close.
That's not symmetry.
It's close enough. Come on. I mean, we're grading on a curve.
We need one more random team to be playing like just by themselves tonight that we can put at the bottom.
Just put like St. Louis in tier 5. I don't know. Are they even playing in the afternoon? I don't know. But there you go. Chop ranked his NFL prospects for us. I can't read all these names, but tier 1 is San Diego, Toronto, Arizona. My screen is just too small. David Bailey, I believe that says. That's Kansas City, Colorado, Anaheim, Seattle. Tier 3 is Mekhi Lemon, Mets, Pittsburgh, Texas, White Sox, Dodgers. Thank you, Steve. That's Akeem Mesidor. Tier 4, Philadelphia, Chicago. That's the Cubbies. And Baltimore, the Athletics. And Jermad McCoy. Okay. Minnesota, San Fran, and St. Louis. St. Louis also in tier 5. Quick synopsis as far as pitchers. I'm going to go around the horn, Dave. I know, look, not everybody here is for the entire show, unfortunately. But if they just joined us now and you want to tell them about pitchers, what would you say?
I would say there are 5 really good pitchers, and I think you can put them in absolutely any order you want, and you won't get any argument from me. That would be Yamamoto, McLean, Imanaga, Bubic, and Luzardo. I would go Yamamoto and cash. I like Bubic and Luzardo best for tournaments based on upside and what I think ownership will probably be. But basically those 5 are just a mix and match, and I think anything you do to get in that group is what you should do. On FanDuel, Luis Castillo is only 7,500, and he's at home. If you need someone cheap, that's what I would do on FanDuel. DraftKings, I would really rather not do anything cheap because it's not that hard to get to. Like Bubic and McLean are only 84 and 8,500. You're not really spending that much. But I think Merrill Kelly is maybe worth a shot. You could do Kumar Rocker, Landon Roop, Shane Baz, et cetera, et cetera. Personally, I did not do any of that.
Chop, anything to add as far as pitchers? Otherwise, jump to catcher, please.
I mean, I'm on McLean. I've said that, so that's live or die by him tonight. Catcher, there's a few options here. Hunter Goodman, I think, is all right. If you really want to pay up and get different, nobody's going to pay up for that guy at 5,400 on DraftKings. I prefer usually to punt. If I was punting, I think the kid from Toronto batting in the 9th spot tonight. But the guy that stands out the most to me and the one I would play if I was playing on DraftKings had to have a catcher tonight, it's Logan O'Hoppe.
I would add Garver to the punt catchers, but yeah, I'm with you as far as O'Hoppe, homer hunting there against Corbin. Cheese? Catcher?
Yeah, catcher is awesome. I love catcher. Cal Raleigh and Sal Perez are my two favorites, and reasonably priced. But I do like cheap stuff. You mentioned Mitch Garver, Logan O'Hoppe. I love Valenzuela. I like. And now we have Dalton Rushing in the lineup, and even Del Castillo for Arizona. Like, it's a lot to like. In a cash game, I would play Sal Perez if I couldn't get up to Cal Raleigh comfortably. But I don't even mind punting. I would probably do O'Hoppe if you can get him.
What about first? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, what about first myself here? So FanDuel pricing is wonky as all get out tonight. I think Cal Raleigh is my favorite first baseman. Nick Kurtz is 3,100. Gavin Sheets is 3,100. Sal Perez is 26. Vlad's 3,100. Vinny P is 2,600. I think that's your range. I really don't think you need to. I mean, there's not even much to spend up for, but I don't even think you need to go up to Murakami and Goodman. Not that you don't have another $300 or $400, but it's fine. So on DraftKings, probably Gavin Sheets is the chalk at 4,200. I do like him. He's one of the two Padres I like, but I don't feel like I have to have him either. I like spending up on Nick Kurtz to be different. I don't think anyone's going to play him. Murakami is okay. If you think Kelly is something wrong with him, I think he's a fine play, but I like Vinny P for quite a bit cheaper. I kind of like Jose Fernandez as a cheap guy for Arizona. And I like Spencer Horwitz as a super cheap guy if you need something down in the near minimum salary range.
I didn't make a cash lineup on FanDuel, but if I did, I feel very, very strong that I probably have two first basemen. The utility spot is probably for first, like you're talking about how cheap some of those prices are over there. And you can even throw Sheets in the outfield. So theoretically, you can get, he's first and outfield eligible. You can get him probably in your cash game as well. Chop first base and then jump over to second when you're done with first.
Yeah, I think my favorite first baseman is Vlad Guerrero. I like the matchup. I like Toronto tonight, and he's starting to swing the bat a little bit better here lately. So showing a little bit of power. So I like Vlad the most. If I was going to be a little bit different, maybe Troy Johnson. I want to get some sort of left-handed action against Vasquez and hope they can run him out of the game in a timely manner. You can get some power against Vasquez and I know at some point, if it's a close game, you probably got to see some good arms out of the bullpen, but maybe it's not a close game. Maybe you get the garbage arms at some point I don't know. But Troy Johnson, left-hander. Then on second base, Tatis, this is where I spend up. Tatis, second base on DraftKings for sure, my favorite. If not him, I'm going to spend up with Ketel Marte. This is not the position I want to save money at.
Yeah, Marte on FanDuel is what, $3K over there. I would imagine he's got to be your cash game second baseman. Dave, second and third, please.
Yeah, on FanDuel in my initial bills, I had 100% Marte. I think I went out of my way to switch him somewhere and do something different in the stack, just so I didn't have 100%. But that's a silly price. On DraftKings, I like Marte over Tatis. There'll be a big ownership gap, and I just like Marte better. Tatis is a ground ball hitter facing a ground ball pitcher. Sure, it's Coors Field, but if it's a ground ball, that doesn't really change that much. Oswald Peraza is probably my favorite cheap guy. Yeah, there's not much here, obviously. But sadly, there's not much more at third base either. I would absolutely play a catcher at both second and third if we had that. It's so bad that if I have someone who's second and third base eligible, like a Peraza, I'm actually using them at third instead. It's that bad. Certainly Machado would be the cash game guy, and he's very affordable on FanDuel. But I don't feel like I have to have any Padres righties. If I get there, fine. Sure, I would play Machado, but I'm not going crazy to get him. Miguel Vargas is fine. I think Max Muncy is still a good play, more so on FanDuel where he's still cheap. Again, the Oswald Peraza is a cheap guy. I think he play Akamoto, who's not cheap, but cheap-ish. Nick York on DraftKings is 2,300. and Josh Young at 2,700. Those are my preferred punts if I need something that cheap.
Young is the one I've been landing on, but yeah, we talked about him a couple days ago, and I was looking at his advanced stuff, and he hit the ball pretty hard. So and he's cheap, and he's at a position that's undesirable. Chop third base, jump to shortstop as well. And can you confirm that you were one of the first people to ever have a water bet? The chat is speculating.
I actually did not have a water bet, Dean. That was a little bit before my time necessarily, but I do remember. I remember being a kid, and my uncle was one. My uncle had a water bet. I remember that. My uncle was he was a real playboy at the time, but he settled down since. But anyways, third base, Dean. This is the week.
Too. Okay.
This is the weakest position by far. So I was just kind of eyeballing like guys from the Angels, the Diamondbacks, the Padres. Any of that stuff is fine. If you want to one-off a guy, hope for a home run. Ballparks typically don't seem to matter for Max Muncy when he gets a hold of it, so he's a good one-off at third base. Is a terribly weak position. Shortstops I like a lot more. So I'm going to give you some shortstops, Dean. I'm going to double-check my stuff here. Yep, this is it. Wow, got double dipping here, Dean. I like Bogarts. He's fine. He's fine for San Diego. But now we get to the BVP suggestion of the day, Dean. I'm going to fire it up right here, right now. And it's going to be Zach Neto. Zach Neto is the BVP suggestion of the day against Corbin. I like the general matchup here for Neto, and he's just a great player, period. So we go with that one. But now I'm going to need the music, Dean, because I'm going to double dip on you. I need to fire up the knockers right now, too. Bring it on. Fire up the knockers right now, because it's coming from my number one stack of the day, which was Arizona. Love a couple of cheap knockers here. Perdomo. Geraldo Perdomo. We're going Perdomo and Lourdes Gurriel, brother of the Astro legend Yuli Gurriel. They're going to be the knockers of the day. I love the Arizona stack. That gets you right in the middle of the order for a cheap price tag. So those are the knockers of the day. That's my shortstops.
I was checking the BVP there, Neto versus Corbin. I wrote up Neto today. I was not aware of the BVP, but 5 for 11 with a couple doubles and a homer as well. I wanted to see if he still had any bases against him. I was kind of curious because I liked his number at 4-1. Trout, I got it 9-1 earlier today. So we're rooting for some stolen bases there. Dave, shortstop, what do you got?
Shortstop is gloriously fantastic. I do like Perdomo, definitely in stacks, but even on his own, he has some of the greatest plate skills in the game, like more walks than strikeouts again this year. On FanDuel, obviously Bobby Witt at 3K is jumping out, but still, even there, you can play 3 shortstops. You put O'Neill, Cruz in the outfield, go Witt, Cruz, and Neto. Those are the 3 that I want. DraftKings, we don't have Cruz, but we still have Witt and Neto. Francisco Lindor is cheaper than those guys. He's the same price as Bogarts. So I would rather play Lindor. And then don't forget Corey Seager too. Like all these guys are just fantastic. So I can't make any case to punt at short outside of a full stack with how good everything is there.
Steve shouting out the Agustin Ramirez call last night from Chop. I think I was one of the knockers, if I'm not mistaken. And, it started off a little shaky with Max Meyer, but he closed really strong there for the Marlins. He hit the first 2 dudes, but he figured it out, and he was pretty solid there. So that was a good call by Cheese last night. Outfield, then we're going to knock out your questions. Get your questions prioritized in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord live stream chat channel. We'll answer those first. Otherwise, Steve will have to find your questions in the YouTube comments. Again, the more details, the better. Let us know if it's cash, if it's tournaments, if it's DK, if it's FanDuel. That stuff does make it easier. And full names, if the guy's name is Smith, something like that. Dave, I need some outfielders.
Yeah. Max Meyer confirmed was listening to the show on while he was on the mound and wanted to just mess with everybody, get everybody go nuts, and then the second the show was over, he just started striking everybody out. It was glorious. So I can live without the Padres outfielders, but I do like Jackson Merrill. But I'll take Corbin Carroll over him. I'll take O'Neill Cruz over him. My 2 favorites with salary considered are Joe Adell and Dalton Varsho. That's home runs waiting to happen for both of them. On DraftKings, I do think you can play Felix Reyes, MJ Melendez, and Eloy Jimenez. That's 3 players under 2,400 that can all hit a home run. I don't know if Eloy Jimenez can hit a home run off a ground ball pitcher, but he could hit one off the bullpen. He can hit a couple singles off of Kochanowicz or just walk. I think this is the night no one plays Ohtani.
Yeah.
You should always play Ohtani. Like when Fernando Tatis is 4 times the ownership of Ohtani, you play Ohtani. I don't care where they're playing baseball. I think that's all I feel like I need to mention. There's a ton of outfielders, but that's mostly spend up those couple guys in the mid tier with Adele and Varsho, or get random cheap guys on DraftKings.
Chop, I need your outfielders. Also, as per the call yesterday, we're going to need some additional home run calls, not just knockers, but actual home run calls. We settled that yesterday, so give me both outfielders and some homers.
Yeah, the Arizona guys, Gurriel, I already mentioned. Carroll, fantastic spin up. The left-handed outfielders for Colorado, if you want to take a shot there. Moniak being one of them. Troy Johnson, I already mentioned him earlier though, but all the Angels outfielders, fantastic, like that stack. Adele, Soler, Trout. All the San Diego outfielders, if that's the a path you want to go down. I love the left-handed Toronto bats in the outfield, Varsho and Jesus Sanchez, who he's in the league because he's so good against righties. That's what he does. And then just a little one-off right in the middle of nowhere, Brian Reynolds against right. Like feels like Rocco should give up something to somebody. So I don't mind Brian Reynolds being one of them. All right, Dean, what do we want? We want some home runs here? Let me pull some. Let me see here what I got for you. All right. I'm going to go. I think we mentioned some of these guys a lot, but one guy I don't think has been mentioned a lot. I'm going Jorge Soler. I like that matchup against a left-hander. I just mentioned Reynolds. I think he's in a good spot. Earlier, the catcher, Logan O'Hoppe. I really like the Los Angeles to have some production tonight. Where else are we at? I don't want to go that route. I know we don't like that. But Varsho's always a threat for the home run. Give me you one, Dean. I said it in the survey this morning, but I'm going Lourdes Gurriel as the one who's gonna leave the yard tonight. He was my under the radar home run call earlier. I'm gonna stick with it.
You got some homers, Dave?
Yeah, on the high end, I'm going to say this is the night that Bobby Witt hits a home run. Enough to 3 for 4 with 17 stolen bases. He'll hit a home run tonight.
He's due.
Varsho in the mid tier, and the cheap random one will be Felix Reyes.
Carolina guy in the Discord channel, FanDuel tournament 1 lineup, Dave. Who is the stack?
FanDuel 1 lineup. It's very close. I would lean Arizona.
We talk about all the salary savers on FanDuel. Jorge Soler is like 3.6. It's like, how is he 3.6 and everybody else?
There's so many like just weird pricings that it's fun times.
Chop Ballers wants to know FanDuel tournaments, Vlad or Kurtz? We talked about how good both those guys
I like Vlad.
New generation in the Discord, DK tournaments. This is for Dave. Carroll and York versus Trout and Clement for DK tournaments.
I like Carroll and York.
JT Money 420. Good day for you yesterday. Chopper, 3 different pitchers on FanDuel. So I guess he's making 3 different lineups, giving 3 different pitchers. We talked about how there's 5 that are kind of sort of somewhat interchangeable. Who are your top 3? Who's in the podium?
For what?
FanDuel?
Pitcher?
Yeah, FanDuel pitchers.
I mean, like I said, I got one guy on FanDuel is Nolan McLean, but if I have multiple lineups and I need to pick 3, it'd be McLean, Yamamoto, and Imanaga.
J, MVP, Cheese, DK, single entry, 2v2, Neto and Eloy versus Soler and Perdomo.
That's close there. Certainly Neto's the best play, but I think I would take the Perdomo Soler side.
All right. I see people are still typing in the Discord. I want to see what we have going on in the YouTube, Steve. If you have any for YouTube, feel free to throw them up on the screen.
I got something for you, Dean, real quick.
What do you got?
Yeah. I mentioned Soler as a home run call potentially, and Kirk has made me aware that the BVP on Soler not great. I double checked. He's right. not good. So I'm going to change that. I don't want Soler as my home run call. I want to go Nolan Arenado now.
Oh boy. So like Patrick Corbin used to be good, Chop. He got like $100 million contract.
Actually, he's had his peaks and valleys through. Like he was good, then he was bad, then he was kind of good again. Like I don't know. So I don't know where all that lands, but I can't disparage the BVP model. So I'm not going to go Soler.
Chop, Craig wants to know best one-off outfielder, 5,300 or less on DK. I got to assume that's DK because nobody in FanDuel is that expensive.
Oh man, I don't know what kind of tournaments he's playing. If it's smaller stuff, I'm probably sticking with like a Jackson Merrill or a Ramon Laureano kind of thing. But if he's going really large field, then it would be somebody else like a Mickey Moniak maybe.
In the Discord, Jay Sam wants to know on FanDuel, do you have any full Angel stacks with all their top guys? If you said you don't like the Angels as a stack, but the pricing works out well, I'll tell you I do. I like the Angels personally. Dave, he's asking you though. He doesn't care.
Well, certainly I have no issue with a full Angel stack on FanDuel, and it's not hard to fit. I don't think I have one. I know I have several lineups with 2 Angels. I might have one stack or one with 3, but I don't think there's anything at all wrong with that.
Chop, just your favorite FanDuel outfielder from the Prince? You have a favorite outfielder on FanDuel?
Well, I don't think there's a favorite outfielder, but judging by everything I've said, probably lean towards Gurriel.
Geez, Travis wants to know Fermin or Bailey. Like, look, is there a worse hitter? And I know that clip this when Bailey gets to over. Is it like one of the worst hitters in the league, batting 9th at home in the worst hitting ballpark against one of the best pitchers in all of baseball? Like, how could you possibly pick Bailey? Not that Fermin's good, but it's got to be Fermin, right?
Yeah, that's not even. I mean, just take the guy in cores. When they're both bad, take the guy in cores.
What was that on DK?
I think so. Yeah.
But the real answer is don't do either of them.
Yeah,
if
you go dead minimum 2K, you can get Brandon Valenzuela.
Chiefs powered one large field DK tournaments. Let's see, outfield Seattle or Pittsburgh. Is that what it's?
OnlyFans?
I don't know. I don't know what the question is. Outfield Seattle or Pittsburgh. Dave, do you understand that?
Maybe he's just full stack, using 3 outfielders in his stack.
Okay.
So that would be like saying Cruz, Reynolds, and Ozuna versus J-Rod or Rosarena and Ref Snyder probably. If it's a complete 5-man stack and you're just filling out the outfield, I would go with Seattle. But if it's like a mini stack, I like those Pirates outfielders better on their own.
Beaner has a question here from the Discord channel, Chop. Favorite FanDuel tournament pitcher? Just one. You got to pick just one now.
Favorite FanDuel tournament pitcher?
Yeah.
Or respectfully to everybody, are they not watching the show?
I can answer Chop's questions. It's McLean. He likes McLean.
Come on.
Leo wants to know it's a DK Cash 2v2 here, Cheese. Fernandez and Tatis versus Marte and Vinny P.
Yeah. In cash, the correct answer is the one with Tatis.
Yeah. I like the tournament side. I'm thinking the same way that you're thinking. DePrince wants to know Adele or Ward, Chop.
I like the Angels a touch more than the Orioles, even though that's confusing because Ward is kind of known as an Angel, but it's Adele for me.
He's known as he's a former Angel, yes.
Well, that's what you think of when you think of Taylor Ward, right? The Angels' time.
Reds are up 4-0 early. I believe I saw EDLC bang one out. Hayes and Myers, too. 3 homers off of Mats there for the Reds if you stack them in the 645 slate. Shout out to you. We're locking in about a minute or so. I don't see any more questions coming on through today's Television Tuesday. Chop, you knew this. You nailed it. You got it in 3. Swing, score, belly, couple, celebrities. Swing. Somebody got it in 1. Several people got it in 1. The Discord channel. Swing is a type of dancing. I cannot fool the chat. Belly, of course, another type of dancing. Score. There are judges that score dances. There are couples. There are celebrities. I'm doing air quotes. Dancing with the Stars. Shout out to Dancing with the Stars. That is today's Television Tuesday. And Choppy, you nailed it in 2 or 3. Nicely done for you. Was it 2 or 3? Either way. Good job.
It was 3.
Still pretty solid. Would you stack the Padres or Pirates, Dave?
There's like no context.
That's a very
there
context-dependent question. The Padres probably score more runs. I would in a large field tournament, I would lean towards the Pirates.
There's only one game playing right now, and there's only starting in a half hour, so I'll just ask a couple more questions that are not relevant because to the first game. JMVP Chop, DK, single entry, Soler and Vlad versus Otani and Eloy. Elon is not playing. Elon's playing baseball?
It is, despite the BVP negativity, I'm still going the Soler side on that one. And, if we're hearing that things already started, feel free to ask some draft questions, guys. I'm here for it.
Same.
Well, the chat loved your – I feel like we didn't talk about the NFL draft long enough, Chop, to be honest. I think we should have went 20 more minutes on it. The chat, some people were getting very upset. It's okay. We got it all in. We gotta fill a show for an hour and a half. Yeah. What are the Cowboys doing, Chop?
I've heard a few different things. I've heard trading up with Cleveland to get the number 6 if a particular player is still there. One of those Ohio State linebackers. If they stick at 12, they're going to hope somebody falls to them. But if those guys are already gone, they might trade back too. So I've heard a few different things. But they need defensive help in a big way.
They're asking if the Browns are going to trade Myles Garrett. I thought that was something that was on the table too. And Chop, you were talking about adding to Myles.
Oh, they can't trade Myles Garrett, man.
Didn't he demand to trade? Am I making that up? Did that not happen at one point?
He asked for a trade last year, and then they appeased him. He'll be fine.
Okay.
He wants to see some progress, man. He wants to see a good team being put around him. So just got to give him an edge rusher over there. Maybe
Doesn't he want somebody to score for them? Like it's got to be.
I was gonna say maybe we get a good return for Deshaun Watson, but I don't know that we want to go there.
I'm not
think
sure
we want to go there right
getting
now.
a return there. Yeah.
Is that not happening? He's just never going to be seen from again. Is he going to get cut? Do we know what's happening there?
No, you can't cut him. It costs too much money.
I don't even want to talk about that. Let's not ruin baseball season.
I got one. I heard a joke the other day. Dude, stop me if it gets too racy. Deshaun and Justin Tucker walk into a bar.
Oh God, I think that's probably the moment. We can all make our own conclusion on that one, I suppose. Let's see. Anything else of note? I think we're good. I think on that high notes, George Costanza is going to tell us that is the show. Dave, you got tacos waiting for you, right?
Yep, gonna go have some tacos, and you guys got a golf show coming up immediately after this.
Oh, I'm just seeing that now. Thank you for that note. Not me, but Noto and Card. So we do have to step aside and get out of here. If you're into the golf, it's firing up in just a minute or so. A new stream will be firing up in just a second. That was Chop. That was Cheese. I was Dean. That was producer Steve. Hit that like button if you have not done so already. Win something. We're out of here. Oh.